मैं पुनः एक बार समय सीमा 20 मिनट दोहरा करके हमारे पहले वक्ता के रूप में, प्रथम वक्त्री के रूप में साइकोलॉजिस्ट, प्रसिद्ध साइकोलॉजिस्ट श्रीमती उमा भास्करन जी, आप सबसे पहले 20 मिनट की सीमा में अपने भाव व्यक्त करेंगी। मैं आपके संदर्भ में एक संक्षिप्त परिचय आपकी योग्यता को लेकर देना चाहता हूं। आप चर्चित साइकोलॉजिस्ट हैं। तमिलनाडु राज्य के चेन्नई नगर में आप निवास करती हैं। कॉर्पोरेट ट्रेनर और मेडिटेशन स्पीकर भी आप हैं। आपने एमएससी फिजिक्स विषय से एसआरसी तिरुचिरापल्ली तमिलनाडु से आपने यह योग्यता प्राप्त की है। इसके साथ साथ पीजीडीआईपी इन फाइनेंशियल मैनेजमेंट अन्नामलाई यूनिवर्सिटी से आपने यह योग्यता प्राप्त की है। आप काउंसलिंग साइकोलॉजी में एमएससी की योग्यता आपने प्राप्त की है। पीजीडीपीआई इन प्रोजेक्ट मैनेजमेंट एंड क्लिनिक साइकोलॉजी, ये भी आपकी योग्यता है। 26 वर्षों का अनुभव इन सब विषयों में आपको प्राप्त है। साथ ही साथ बीएफएसआई की आप पूर्व वाइस प्रेसिडेंट भी रही हैं। इन सभी योग्यताओं को लेकर के आप एक प्रसिद्ध साइकोलॉजिस्ट के रूप में श्रीमती उमा भास्करन जी अपना वक्तव्य 20 मिनट की सीमा में रखेंगे। आपका विषय मैं एक बार यहाँ से बोलना चाहता हूँ। आपका जो विषय है वह है ऑब्जेक्टिव ऑफ साइंस, विज्ञान का उद्देश्य। इस विषय में आप अपना उद्बोधन प्रस्तुत करें। श्रीमती उमा भास्करन जी।
प्रणाम गुरुजी। ఎందరో మహానుభావులు అందరికీ వందనము. Lot of knowledgeable scientists have spoken before me, and many scientists are going to speak ahead of me. I thoroughly salute and respect your knowledge, experience, and expertise in the field of science. Why me science? Because I have been very passionate about physics. I have done my master's in physics, and then I went into the banking career for 26 years, and wherever possible I have applied science in my talks and my training sessions. I use science. It has always been with me, so I'm extremely honored and privileged for this wonderful opportunity. Thanks to the MUT for giving me this opportunity, and thanks to all those who made it happen. Pranam Guruji. Guru Brahma, Guru Vishnu, Guru Devo Maheshwara, Guru Sakshat Parabrahma, Tasmai Shri Guruve Namaha. Science, the earlier speakers gave various perceptions. Many of them said it is truth. Yes, it is truth. Actually, it is derived from the Latin word scientia, meaning knowledge. Now, because education had to be built into a curriculum, if you ask a student about science, they will say physics, chemistry, biology means science. Actually, science is knowledge. Even in Tamil, we say Ariviyal, Arivu plus Viyal, which is knowledge and nature. In Hindi also, we say Vigyan. So, science is actually organizing the knowledge in the form of explanations, testable explanations, and verifiable predictions about nature and universe. For that matter, even Ayurveda is science. Ayur means life, Veda is science. And how about astronomy, psychology? Psychology is also science. They're also part of science. So let's keep the thought on. It is not just physics, chemistry, and biology, but the applied sciences. There are various extensions of sciences which are making our lives easier. This is called the Holy Trinity of science, where we observe something, we reason the observation, and then we experience it and we implement it to make our lives better. So science is an enabler. It is a main tool to explore the hidden secrets of the world. So when earlier speakers spoke about the earlier civilizations, so men started exploring the hidden secrets of the world for making their lives better. And the knowledge produced by science undergoes constant change. What we used in communication 10 years back is not the same now, will not be the same 10 years later. For us, science contributes to ensuring a longer and healthier life. It makes our life more easier and comfortable. Starting from our basic needs of food, clothing, and shelter, it provides energy and even makes life easier and interesting, including communication, sports, music, etc. I remember in our school days, we used to have even debates on how to make use of science constructively, good for the humankind, whether it is a boon or bane. Now we are so engrossed in our fast pace of life that we are just proceeding with the comforts that best we can extract from science. Purpose of science, the objective of science is primarily to make our lives simpler, to reduce the time spent in completing an activity, to reduce the stress, strain, to help us make the universe a comfortable place to live in. The best example is now this virtual platform where all of us are able to connect easily and interact with each other. Thousands of people are watching. They are able to give their feedbacks, and many of us are able to look at each other and talk. So that itself is the best example how the objective of science has been to make our lives simpler and easier. Otherwise, in times of lockdown, we will not be able to travel and then hold a conference. So very wisely, I appreciate Govardhan Mutt for organizing this on the virtual platform. Einstein, all of us know, he said philosophy is empty if it isn't based on science. Science discovers and philosophy interprets. Martin Luther King said, science investigates and religion interprets. Science gives man knowledge, which is power, and religion gives man wisdom, which is control. So both go in tandem. Let's touch upon the law of conservation of energy. Energy can neither be created nor be destroyed. It can only be transferred from one form to another. So being a counselor and being a corporate trainer, I try to apply the principles of physics, convert it into practical, applicable information. And that is quite interesting. In fact, physics and philosophy is a very interesting concept worldwide. So law of conservation of energy, it can neither be created nor be destroyed. It is there. It just has to be transferred from one form to another. It simply means that all of us human beings have lots of energy, lots of potential. So mindset and emotions we need to handle in such a way that we need not create anything new. We just need to be willing to change and put our knowledge and energy constructively for the use of humankind. Newton's laws. Many times, when we try to pick up quotes, it's really amazing to see that many scientists have been great philosophers. Einstein has given a lot of motivational quotes. Isaac Newton has remained a great philosopher. Astronomers, we only think of his laws of motion, but he has been a multifaceted person. His contribution to physics and mathematics is definitely priceless. So the laws of motion, we can relate to them as laws of motivation. For example, the first law of motion, the law of inertia. Inertia, I relate it to the resistance to change. So Newton's first law of motion, as I remember the way I studied in my 10th standard, every object continues to be in a state of rest or of uniform motion unless compelled by an external force. So this applies to us also. Many times we are stuck in a certain situation, in a certain position in life, and we really need external motivation to make us progress further. And sometimes we show resistance to change also. So inertia here, I relate to the resistance to change. Second law, force is equal to mass into acceleration. Yesterday, a scientist spoke about it. So motivation we can relate to the acceleration A. M, mass, we can relate to our competencies, our capabilities, our skills and knowledge. Force is the rate at which we progress in life, is our competencies times the motivation that we have. And third law, all of us know every action has an equal and opposite reaction. We can imagine the picture of a rocket propelling. The extent to which it is fueled downwards, it propels upwards. Similarly, remember the bow and arrow, the maximum it is pulled backward, it progresses forward. So whenever we get challenges in life, we should believe that these are the situations which are really going to launch us fast ahead in life. This is how I relate the principles of science, the objectives of science relating to the practical applications in life. Louis Pasteur, the moment we think of him, we think of boiling milk. The word pasteurization itself came from his name. So he showed us that the germs in the milk can be killed if it is boiled. So he is remembered for the germ theory of diseases. And he also reported that virus is not detectable by microscope. And the power of sound is needless to say here, it has to be mentioned. If we have a glass, a high-pitched frequency of sound can shatter an ordinary drinking glass. Such a demonstration shows that loud sounds can produce substantial reactions. So just imagine if we are able to chant in harmony, in synchronization, in a satsang together, when all of us are able to chant mantras. In all religions, the chanting of prayers loudly is prevalent. Music therapy, even in psychology it is used. Music, the power of sound, is used to manage stress, to alleviate pain, to enhance memory, and to improve communication. This is an experiment which many of us must have heard of. Picture from Fujiwara Dam. This was how the water molecules looked like in Japan. And when Dr. Masaru Emoto conducted 1 hour prayer in front of the dam, this is how the molecular structure changed. And when abuses were told, this is how it changed. And these are the pictures of the crystals or the structures of the water molecules when words of peace, wisdom, love, and gratitude were whispered. So let us, without getting into the facts of it or testing it, let us just think about how the positive vibrations can create a lot of goodness in the human body, which comprises of 70% of water. Just imagine if we only think positive thoughts and we are self-motivated, how much goodness can be there in every body, human body. Similarly, the universe is covered with 75% water. So if only each human being thinks about good things, believes in dharma, believes in good deeds, believes only in love, wisdom, divinity, how peaceful the entire universe can become. The power of sound vibrations, it has been prevalent in our religion, the ringing of bells, the damaru in temples. They create sound waves that can kill and weaken harmful germs. Chanting of prayers rhythmically is also prevalent in, as I said, in all religions. So even during the lockdown, on a day we were asked to clap because the sound in a particular frequency, in a rhythmic pattern, has the power to kill the harmful germs and insects. So if you see, this is the kind of conch, the damaru, bells. That is why we use all these in prayers and create sounds, and we also chant mantras louder. Proper use of science is to conquer nature, not to conquer nature, but to live in it. But what have we done? The pace at which we have progressed. Suddenly we have become unaware or ignorant of side effects of the progress or what the comforts that we have derived from nature. Nature says, hey, I ensured your comfort, but what have you done to me? Passive and calm nature, which was so calm so far, has suddenly become assertive. It says, it puts its roots down and says, here am I, give due importance to me. Let's ensure. So now currently nature wants a win-win situation in its assertive way. Let us ensure that nature does not become aggressive. Let's give a thought, have we gone overboard? Gandhiji said, I remain aware of the fact that one could not live without science, provided we use it properly. So these are pictures of animals during the lockdown, when they found their own way, actually we trespassed. We are saying that the animals trespassed. Actually, we have trespassed. This was originally their paths. Peacocks dancing in empty roads and Parsi Colony, Mumbai. Deers on highways, en route to Tirupati. A rhino out of a reserve forest walking freely because there are no vehicles, there is no crowd. Ganga water has become so clean that we can drink it now in Rishikesh and Haridwar. So, as scientists and science professors, we need to face the challenges. Governments and citizens alike must understand the language of science and must become scientifically literate. Science, technology, and innovation must drive our pursuit of more sustainable and equitable development. So let me share some more points, practices from olden days. Trees of neem tree and banyan tree, you can see in all the streets, in the temples. Why? Because inhaling the air near these trees is good for health. That is why in many days we say we have to go around the banyan tree, we have to circumvent. And neem tree is worshipped as God. Temple. Hindu temples are built scientifically. The place where the idol is kept in the sanctum sanctorum, Mudisthanam or Garbhagriha, is where Earth's magnetic waves are found to be maximum, thus benefiting the worshipper. That's why when we want peace, we go to the temple. We just close our eyes, fold our hands, surrender to God and worship. That gives us a lot of peace. So the positioning of Mudisthanam or Garbhagriha is scientifically very true, with maximum magnetic waves. Tulsi or the basil leaf, when consumed, keeps the immune system very strong and it produces 24 hours oxygen. Veda, the rhythm of Vedic chanting, Vedic mantras, when pronounced and heard, are even if somebody they don't know to pronounce, they can just listen to the Vedic chanting. So even listening to the Vedic chanting, believed to cure lot of disorders of the body like BP, anxiety, etc. Vibhu that we keep on the forehead or the holy ash after taking a bath, it removes excess water from our forehead. That's why we have this practice. Even now for children after giving bath, this practice is there. Applying vibhu on the center of the head and the forehead. Similarly, women, we keep kumkum or bindi because it improves the concentration. It saves us from lot of distractions. Ear piercing, again, is an extension of acupuncture treatment. It helps in curing asthma, it seems, the position where it is pierced. Turmeric, needless to say, is such a natural antibacterial, antioxidant, and it always comes in handy for any home remedy. Einstein said about India, we owe a lot to the Indians who taught us how to count, without which no worthwhile scientific discovery would have been made. He also said, whenever he found difficulties in experiments, he referred to the Vedas for insights. Mark Twain said, India is the cradle of human race, the birthplace of human speech, mother of history, grandmother of legend, and the great-grandmother of tradition. Our most valuable and most constructive materials in the history of man are treasured up in India only. So let's realize, we should realize that today's theories may become outdated, outmoded ideas in future. All scientists should share their ideas. I hope the students, the next generation, understand science from their applicability aspect, the practical aspect of science. Otherwise, nowadays students easily ask, what am I going to do learning Pythagoras theorem? What am I going to do Newton's laws? So to them, we have to make them understand how science can be made practically applicable in daily walks of life. So we need to share the ideas so that others will be inspired to work on different aspects of science. And science should help in times of crisis, in times of need. Like how many industries have shifted their focus from their routine production to the essentials in times of COVID crisis. So objective of science, we have to, and let us focus on the unseen. We need to anticipate what is ahead of us. We have to focus on the unseen, unforeseen, unheard, what might come in future, because the current corona situation is something which we never anticipated. Still, every country is struggling to find out medicine, and definitely it is in process. Very soon it will be possible. We are able to do Himalayan wonders, Herculean tasks. So we also are capable of applying science and foresee the future, to see the unseen, to predict the unforeseen, to hear the unheard. So let us learn to coexist by balancing between science and nature. I want to stick to the 20 minutes, considering the routine responsibilities of the MUT, and I also want to give due respect to the speakers. Their times are also precious. So let me conclude with this by saying that the objective of science we have to make the next generation understand the practical applicability, and we should also guide them in extending the applied sciences and make science help them to make their lives easier. It should become enablers and handle times of crisis like the one we are undergoing now. And before I conclude, Sarve Bhavantu Sukhinah, or may all be happy. Sarve Santu Niramaya, may all be healthy. Sarve Bhadrani Pashyantu, may we all experience what is good. Akaschit Dukhabhat Bhave, may no one suffer. Om Shanti, Shanti, Shanti. Peace today. Dhanyavad. Thank you so much to all the learned scholars out there. If I have made any mistakes, kindly excuse me. And Pranam Guruji, Jai Jagannath Ji.
भास्करन ने अपने समय की सीमा में मनोरम भावों को व्यक्त किया। गीता आदि शास्त्रों में भगवान में भी उन्होंने पूर्ण आस्था व्यक्त की। प्राप्त विभीषिका के समाधान के लिए भी उन्होंने मनोवैज्ञानिक तथ्यों पर ध्यान की आवश्यकता पर प्रकाश डाला। मैं एक संकेत करना उचित समझता हूं कि इस संगोष्ठी के माध्यम से मुझे बहुत प्रसन्नता यूं हो रही है कि स्वतंत्रता के बाद राजनेताओं ने वेदादि शास्त्रों के प्रति, मन्वादि धर्मशास्त्रों के प्रति पर्याप्त अनास्था उत्पन्न करने का प्रयास किया। लेकिन मैं बहुत प्रमुदित हूं कि वैज्ञानिक जगत आज बहुत ही दृढ़ता पूर्वक समस्त ज्ञान विज्ञान का स्रोत वैदिक वांग्मय को मान रहा है। इसका अर्थ है कि वैज्ञानिक जगत अभी भी वेदादि शास्त्रों के प्रति पूर्ण आस्थान्वित है। पिछले सत्र में हमारे अग्रवाल जी ने विस्तार पूर्वक इस तथ्य को उद्भाषित किया था कि चाहे जर्मनी के विद्वानों ने कुछ आविष्कार किया हो, चाहे भारतीय वैज्ञानिकों ने, सब के सब वैदिक वांग्मय के प्रति आस्थान्वित थे। संस्कृत साहित्य के बल पर ही उनके जीवन में विविध प्रकार के वैज्ञानिक आविष्कार की क्षमता प्राप्त हुई। तो इस संगोष्ठी का सबसे उत्तम फल मैं यह पा रहा हूँ कि आज भी वैज्ञानिकों के हृदय में वेदादि शास्त्रों के प्रति पूर्ण आस्था है। नारायण।
बहुत बहुत
जी
बहुत बहुत धन्यवाद श्रीमती उमा भास्करन। और एक प्रसन्नता की बात और है, जैसा कि अभी अभी मुझे पता चला कि आज श्रीमती उमा भास्करन आपका जन्मदिन भी है। तो मैं आपको बहुत बहुत शुभकामनाएं प्रेषित कर रहा हूं। और मुझे सूचना मिली है कि पूरे भारत भर से अनेक वैज्ञानिकों का, साइंटिस्ट और साइकोलॉजिस्ट बहुत से वैज्ञानिक मनोवैज्ञानिकों की ओर से आपको शुभकामनाएं प्रेषित की गई है। हमारे कार्यक्रम की ओर से भी हम लोग आपको बहुत बहुत शुभकामनाएं देते हैं। आपका जीवन पूज्यपाद भगवान शंकराचार्य महाभाग भी आपको मंगलमय आशीर्वाद प्रदान कर रहे हैं। आपका जीवन, आपकी योग्यता राष्ट्र के हित में, विश्व के हित में, विश्व के वास्तविक हित में प्रयुक्त हो, ऐसी भावना हम लोगों की है। अगले